Next, I would like to welcome Jeanne Andrade. She's from BPI France, the International Innovation Program Manager, and she will give you some insights on the programs available in France mentioned by Pascal Lagarde earlier today. Thank you, Jeanne.
Thank you, Nadja. Good morning, everybody. I am Jeanne Andrade, so I work in the Innovation Department of BPI France and in the dedicated team to funding of international R&D projects. I will present to you today our two funding options for the clusters program. Now, as opposed to our Netherlands colleague who presented their funding earlier, we do not have a dedicated call for clusters program. We actually use our national funding scheme, and these schemes are going to be the ones you want to participate in to get your funding for a cluster. And so we do have two funding options, depending on the size and the characteristics of your project. The first one is the Aide à l'Innovation, so it's the innovation support scheme, and the second one is the IDEMO scheme. So I won't go too deep in details today as we have limited times, but obviously feel free to come to us for questions on these two options. So first, the first support scheme is the Aide à l'Innovation program. So this is our national open call for innovation projects. It's not dedicated to international projects nor cluster, but you can use this scheme at any time to ask for funding for your R&D projects. So this is, in the clusters framework, more destined for smaller size projects as opposed to IDEMO that I will introduce later. So the Aide à l'Innovation scheme is actually can actually take form of two different support. The first one is a loan, and the second one is an innovation advance, which is a reimbursable loan. So the difference between the two is that the loan is actually something that will be fully disbursed at the beginning of your project, and that you will have to reimburse no matter what. But you can have a different time between the end of your projects and the moment you start reimbursing it to let you some time to get some return on investment, while the innovation advance scheme is actually something you will have the first tranche in the beginning of the project, and then depending on how your project is evolving, you will get the rest at the end of the project. Now, this scheme allows BPI France to share the risk with you, so it is a loan, but if the project is a technical failure, not a commercial one, but a technical one, then it will become partially a grant, and just so you won't have to reimburse it all. These two schemes, as you can see, are more for SMEs and also large companies up to 2,000 FTE. If your company is bigger than 2,000 FTE, you're not eligible for this kind of funding. You can absolutely participate in a clusters project, but this will have to be self-funded. If you are a research institute or university, same as other countries, you're not eligible for this type of funding, and you can participate by being a subcontractor in the project. And please note that if your project is considered deep tech in BPI France's standards, you can actually get an alternative funding, which is a mix between a grant and a loan. The process, well, I won't dive too deep, but my first suggestion, which is actually not that much of a suggestion as it should be mandatory, is to contact us before applying. So you have to contact your account manager, which is the person located in your regional direction of BPI France. So actually your proximity counselor, I would say. If you don't have a contact yet, please inform us and we'll assign you someone. But this step is crucial because you will get not only information on the funding and how to get it, but also maybe information on other programs that would be more suitable. As it was explained before, clusters are quite specific, so maybe actually your project should benefit from another type of program. And then submit your national application, and please make sure it matches your clusters proposal, because otherwise we have to readapt either one or the other. And the next funding scheme available is the IDEMO funding. So this is another national scheme, but this one is more designed for bigger projects addressing big challenges. And as you can see, it's a part of the France 2030 plan, which aims to develop industrial and service companies in buoyant markets. This call actually has some deadlines as opposed to the previous funding scheme. You can see the next deadlines on the bottom right of the screen. screen. It is for collaborative projects or individual, and you have to have a limit of 6 French partners. That's the only limitation. The funding is actually only for projects that are up to more than 4 million euros of French budget. So this is why this funding scheme is more for bigger projects as opposed to the previous one, which can be open for smaller ones. And projects duration is between 3 to 5 years. You can notice that projects causing environmental harm will be excluded. And the funding, the type of funding, is actually a mix between a grant and a reimbursable advance. This is open to any type of companies, research institute as well. Again, please make sure to contact us before applying to get all the details. And last, I just want to introduce you to our tool to support your application, which is called the DIAC Partenariat Technologique International. Well, this is quite transparent, but basically, this is a tool to assist your company in setting up your consortium, finding partners, drafting your application, planning the project, basically everything related to this project. You can find a consultancy expert, who's going to do this work for you, and BPI France will pay for half of the price of the consultancy service. This is basically how this tool works. It's not more complicated than that. You can choose your expert yourself, or you can also ask us for recommendations. We will give you names of experts we know are relevant in these type of projects setting, and then you just apply online. It takes about 10 minutes. We give you our answer, and you just get the funding. So it's a very, very easy tool to help you, I would say, overcome, especially for SMEs, the barrier of those long-taking projects. And you have our contact, so you have the generic clusters address for BPI France, and you can also have more information on either of these schemes with a dedicated Teams address. Thank you very much.